What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another video. And comic book Marvel Spider-Man Twitter has been in a frenzy for the past few days because Insomniac Games, they did the normal tweeting out where they do different pictures and videos from the gameplay of Marvel Spider-Man 2. And people comment, and the Insomniac Twitter account, they reply and stuff like that. And so someone replied to one of their tweets and said, "Is there any news on DLC?" And they replied with, "We don't have anything new to announce." And this sent everyone into a spiral, okay? Because we've been waiting patiently for Marvel Spider-Man 2 DLC to drop, because at this point there is literally nothing to do in the game of Marvel Spider-Man 2. We literally had to wait months just to get an update to change the weather, change the color of the tendrils of your Venom symbiote, and also New Game Plus, which took forever, and for okay to mid suits and stuff like that. And Insomniac has basically dropped the ball with this game in every way imaginable. And I know there's gonna be people in the comments defending this game to high heaven, saying it's the greatest Spider-Man game of all time. It is clearly not. The first Spider-Man game before this blows this game out of the water, okay? In terms of the quality, control, the content in the game, and also the post-content updates. It blows it out of water in every way possible. And there have been many different responses to this post. And one of the responses are, well, they didn't announce the DLC, so why did y'all expect the DLC? And also, they're probably delaying it to later next year or something like that, right? And so my response to both of those are, if they delayed it, then they don't have much time to put out this DLC, because based on the leaks, which we will get to later, but based on the leaks and the timeline that was given, that they had planned internally, that Venom is supposed to drop next year, the Venom game. And I know that's not going to be a major AAA game. It's going to be similar to the scale of Miles Morales, where it's just like a 10-hour game where you get to play as Venom and you get to go through this little story. It's not going to be as big of a scale as Spider-Man 2 and stuff like that. And then also after that, in 2026, you have the Wolverine game that they've been working on. So at what point is there time to put out the DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2? And also another reason why people are saying there has to be a DLC, because multiple side missions in Marvel Spider-Man 2 leads off to a cliffhanger, and you cannot answer all these questions in a Venom game and a third game. You will need a DLC, because how are you gonna toggle? Marvel Spider-Man 2 is already a jumble mess with the storylines and so many villains and trying to tackle all that. There's no way you're gonna have a game with Green Goblin, Carnage, Chameleon, any other Spider-Man villain they want to add, Daredevil, because that was hinted at a lot, and there's unused assets involving the Daredevil or the Foot Clan and stuff like that. How are we gonna fit all this into a game? Like, it's possible, but it feels like Arkham City, and then like if Arkham Knight got delayed and it might be canceled type thing. It was like, bro, like you can't handle all that's going in at once. There's no way. So you will have to divvy up what you're doing with this, and it would make more sense if a DLC was being made to answer some of these questions and you could defeat one of the villains, right? It would have been cool if it was like, oh, Carnage is the villain of the DLC because Peter has the anti-venom symbiote, and then at the end of that he loses the anti-venom after he defeats Carnage. It will make sense and it'll add progression to the story. Not so much. Or you could have Venom and Carnage be the main conflict in their game or whatever, in the Venom game, but there's still a bunch of villains that need to be handled with that we don't talk about, that just can't be pushed to the side, or oh, we just won't talk about it. Now with the leaks, people are saying, oh, the leaks pushed everything back, and I understand that, but still, you still have to put out certain things for the game. Like, I understand leaks are bad and a bunch of information got leaked that they didn't want to leak, private information, stuff like that, but it's to the point where it's actively hampering the game experience, because it's been over how many months since this game dropped? And we all know the game was rushed. The developers came out and said it themselves, that Sony rushed them on this product because they wanted to get out in a certain time and they couldn't do as much polish as they can. And it's very obvious with the amount of cut content and the quality control of this game. But we are still waiting for DLC months and months after, and you're not really gonna have room to drop the DLC after you start working on the X-Men games and stuff like that. So what are they gonna do? Marvel Spider-Man 2 dropped in October 20th of 2023. In a few months, it's gonna be a year, okay? A year, and we haven't had a DLC or anything. And it took like 6 months, 6 to 7 months to get the New Game Plus. I know it took a few months. It took like, I think 4 to 6 months. But it's ridiculous. Like, why do we have to wait a year for DLC when in the first game, you had DLC less than a month after the game dropped? Like, it was, oh, we have the whole roadmap to the DLC, when it's dropping, what's dropping with it. And that was it, and it was very transparent. Now, leak or not, this has just been poorly managed game. And I don't know who to blame it on. Sony, you blame it on Insomniac. Everything in totality just builds up to this mess of wasted potential. And at the end of the day, no matter how you feel about it, how you look at it, Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be known as the wasted potential game, with all these characters and all these arcs being built up and not going anywhere because they fumbled the bag on the way of post-launch content. And it's ridiculous. Now, they can address some of these things in the later games, but now you're adding on more and more pressure to what you expect from these different games, when a DLC could have alleviated majority of these things. And I feel like it's going to end up being an Arkham Knight situation where you're going to have to defeat these major villains in the side mission. I think it's going to be frustrating to the player, where it's like, okay, you had a whole side mission build up to build up Chameleon as this big thing, getting revenge for Kraven the Hunter and stuff like that, just to defeat him in a side mission like Hush. Or you're going to have it where Carnage is going to be in a side mission where he can have his own game easily. It doesn't make sense. Now, I know some people are going to say, why not just release the DLC later? Okay, what's the problem with releasing the DLC later in 2025? Well, there's two issues with that. One is, if you have Venom coming out in 2025, because you're trying to make room for Wolverine and the X-Men, that stuff is coming down the pipeline. They already have it. It's not like a set date, but like, you know, if Sony's already rushing them for Spider-Man, you already know what they're going to do with the X-Men games. But, so they already have ideas where they want these games to drop, right? If you set a DLC way later in the 2025, it's going to mess up with the release of Venom, okay? So you want these things to have their own space to breathe and grow. It's kind of like the Titanfall Battlefield situation, where if you have Titanfall was released right before Battlefield, people's like, why would I get two first-person shooter games? I'm gonna stick to what I know. And then they end up getting Battlefield, and Titanfall pretty much died and never came back, and they're stuck doing Apex, right? But same thing with the DLC. Why would I get DLC if I could just get the Venom game? You know what I mean? Which will be cheaper, which is a character I'm more interested in. You know what I mean? And another thing, which is picking up what I just said, they're trying to make as much money as possible. Like, at the end of the day, it is a business. People want to make as much money as possible, especially with all the BS they've been through. They want a big hit where, okay, we're breaking records with this DLC. Everyone is cramming, running to this DLC. We want to play this game. If you drop it neck and neck next to your games, it's like, what are we doing here? Or especially, we don't know what other games is dropping next year, especially with GTA 5. You definitely don't want to drop it later in the year with GTA 5. Like, what? Ain't nobody gonna be playing it. I'm be honest with you. If you look me dead in my face and say, hey, you have two options to play right now, GTA 6 or the Spider-Man DLC, I will smack the Spider-Man DLC out your face. Out your hands, okay? I will look at you with disgust. There's no way I'm gonna sit here and play that DLC with GTA 6 is, okay? What? And that's just for one game. You don't know what other games is coming out. You don't know if the Max Payne remake is coming out and all stuff like that. These different games people are interested in. We're not gonna wait. At that point, it's gonna be 2 years since this game dropped. I don't give a fuck about the DLC, with all due respect. It's like, I don't care anymore. Let me see what the new thing they got. Let me see what they pushing forward with this and the third. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think down below. Do you think the DLC is canceled? Do you think there was never a DLC? Or what? I'll be in the comments down below, and I'm out. Peace.